Hi guys, welcome. This is Lisa from astrologysphere.com. In this video I'm going to be doing eclipse forecasts for the upcoming eclipse season, which begins on the 26th of December and extends to the 21st of June 2020. So what I'm going to do is look at the main energies surrounding eclipse season, and then I'm going to break these down sign by sign for each of the 12 zodiac signs. This is something new I've introduced to my website for members, so it's probably something I'm going to be sending out with my moon phase newsletters, which normally go out twice a month. So if you're interested in receiving these on a regular basis, then please do subscribe. All you have to do is go to astrologysphere.com/subscribe and sign up. It's absolutely free, and it would be fabulous to have you on this journey with me as we go into 2020. So without further ado, let's get into this forecast. So before we get into the individual forecasts, I'm just going to give an overall summary of the main energies that will be constellating in relation to the eclipse cycle between now and June 2020. I have, if you're interested, also done a more in-depth video which looks at the kind of macro cycles relating to the last decade and the energies that relate to these particular eclipses, as well as the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So if you're interested in that, then you can have a look at my other video, which is called something like the December 26th solar eclipse big picture. So kick-starting eclipse season is the solar eclipse in Capricorn, which happens on the 26th of December 2019. So this begins a brand new 6-month cycle for the collective, which will last until the 21st of June 2020, when we have a new eclipse, a new solar eclipse that will take us into the next eclipse cycle. So this particular eclipse, like most solar eclipses, happens at new moon. So you could say that these type of events are really turbocharged new moons, where you are looking to plant the seeds and set your intentions for the upcoming 6 months. This particular eclipse happens, as I said, in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn on the whole is the archetypal father or authority figure. So Capricorn concerns power, responsibility, it's the inner parent, it's parenting in general, it's taking responsibility for things, owning things. It's also about working towards achieving your ambitions. Capricorn is earth energy, so this is fantastic for manifesting of all kinds. It's really great for career and coin, basically. So whilst the last eclipse cycle concerned the private sphere, this is very much about the public sphere. It's about making your mark, it's about shining in the world, and it's about achieving what it is that you want to achieve when it comes to your New Year's resolutions. So where there is a solar eclipse, there tends to be a follow-up lunar eclipse, and this year things are no different. After the solar eclipse in Capricorn, we're followed with a lunar eclipse in Cancer on the 10th of January, so in the opposite sign. So lunar eclipses happen at full moon, and they are like turbocharged full moons. Full moons on the whole tend to be about culminations or endings, and in this case what we're doing is closing out the last eclipse cycle, which began on the 2nd of July 2019 with the solar eclipse in Cancer. So Cancer is a water sign. It's the archetypal mother. This is about family, it's about the past, it's about the unconscious, it's about habits, also diet to an extent, it's about self-care. And Cancer, being a water sign, tends to be concerned with emotional things. We have to bear in mind that this is also occurring at the full moon, and that the moon is at home in the sign of Cancer. So this could be quite an emotional time, a time of release, a time of letting go, a time of endings. So that's just something to bear in mind during the first half of January, and as we go into the waning moon cycle, there may be things that you need to close out from last year before you can move fully into the solar eclipse energy that will be getting underway on December the 26th. So as if it wasn't enough to have two eclipses beginning a brand new decade, we are also due to have a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in the sign of Capricorn on the 12th of January 2020. So this begins a brand new cycle as far as these two planets are concerned. They tend to come together every 35 or so years. It's a little bit, it varies a little bit because of Pluto's elliptical orbit. Essentially, these two planets have very similar resonances. That's because before Pluto was discovered in the 1930s, many of the attributes that it now carries were assigned to the planet Saturn. Saturn was considered to be the outermost planet in the classical pantheon of planets. So a lot of the symbolism between the two overlap. Saturn is the archetypal Grim Reaper. It's also the archetypal father, so you could say that this is Emperor energy. Then we have Pluto, which is also associated with power, usually hidden power, invisible power. Pluto in many respects is symbolized by the phoenix, so this is death and then rebirth, so we're talking more about cycles here. Together, the two of them coming together in the sign of Capricorn is really quite intense energy. It's quite serious. It's also earth-based, so it's very much to do with what happens on Earth, structures that underpin the fabric of our lives. So we're talking here about power structures, so political structures. We're talking about banking. We're talking about bureaucracy. So those things on a mundane level, we might see some changes happening there. Together, Saturn and Pluto are about cutting back, stripping back. So it's possible that at this time, this energy could coincide with an economic recession. I do talk about the macro trends to do with Saturn and Pluto in my video on the big picture concerning the solar eclipse. So if you're interested in how the Saturn-Pluto conjunction fits into the trends that have been happening over the last decade or so, then have a watch of that video. Needless to say, this energy will, because it's happening in the same sign as the solar eclipse, there will be some sort of continuation when it comes to the December 26th solar eclipse. It's also fair to say that many of us will already have a sense of what this energy is all about, because Saturn and Pluto were going in and out of orb of each other during 2019. They came very close to each other in the first quarter of 2019, and then they went retrograde and parted ways, and then they started to come back together again in November, December of 2019. So you've probably already got a sense that this is quite heavy energy. It's about letting go of things. It's about the truth. It's about revealing what's hidden. It's also to do with rebuilding and restructuring. It's about karmic justice and karmic rebalancing. So essentially about divine timing too, and a sort of, I hate to use the word reckoning, but that's certainly a possibility when it comes to these two planets. There's not really a lot of a sense of mercy when it comes to either Saturn or Pluto. This is the hard taskmaster and the lord of the underworld. So these are not easy energies to have to deal with, but nonetheless, if you're prepared to kind of own your stuff, if you're prepared to do the work that they demand of you, then you can reap some fantastic rewards in the future. It's just worth bearing in mind that because these planets move so slowly, you're not likely to see immediate rewards for your actions. This is more long term. This is kind of building the foundations for the future. So that in a nutshell is a summary of the three main kind of energies that will be at play in the background between now and June of 2020. Just commenting overall, it's worth saying that in many respects this is about a balancing of masculine and feminine energies. So Capricorn in tarot terms, you could associate with not just the world and the devil, but also the emperor. And Cancer, although it is associated with the moon card and with the chariot, you could also associate it to an extent with the Empress energy, because it's the archetypal mother. The sun and moon have similar resonances. These are the cosmic yin and yang energies. So we're talking about the sun is masculine energy and the moon is, generally speaking, feminine energy. So you could say that between now, sort of over the next 6 months, that there's a balancing happening between masculine and feminine energies. Right, so let's get into the individual forecasts. The best way to leverage these is to listen to the forecast for your rising sign, your ascendant. This will ensure that the planets are in the correct position as far as life areas are concerned, so they're more likely to be accurate when it comes to predictions. Although you can also listen for your sun sign and then for your moon sign. If you'd like to order a personal forecast for the upcoming 6 months or 12 months, you can go to my website and order one from astrologysphere.com. So Aquarius, let's have a look at your upcoming trends for the next 6 months. So basically, we have a solar eclipse in Capricorn on the 26th of December, which begins a fresh cycle for you that will take you to June of 2020. For Aquarians, this is really about making some fresh starts when it comes to subconscious beliefs and dynamics. So anything that's hidden, that we don't talk about, or that kind of keys into the collective consciousness, is likely to constellate for you between now and June. Perhaps one way to understand this is to look at what is phasing out, and that is signified by the Cancer lunar eclipse, which happens on the 10th of January. So this is phasing out a 6-month cycle which began around the 2nd of July 2019 and set the tone for the last eclipse cycle that occurred between June and December of 2019. So during that time, you were working on improving work routines, your health, perhaps looking at dynamics with colleagues or pets to see if you could make some improvements, adjusting your schedules, perhaps to reduce stress, and generally getting rid of unhealthy habits and daily rituals that weren't really serving you. So if you bear that in mind, it may be that in that process you realize that there were certain unconscious drivers or beliefs that were affecting your ability to work efficiently, for example, or to get along with a colleague, or to really get your head around the idea of managing your time more efficiently. You know, perhaps you realize that in order to stop procrastinating or self-sabotaging when it comes to everyday habits or your health, for example, that you really need to work on some of your unconscious habits, possibly that you've inherited from when you were a child, or that you've picked up over the years and have become ingrained. And so it's possible that between now and June of 2020 that you may decide, for example, to go into therapy, to become more mindful and to take up meditation. You may decide to go for dream analysis, or get into your spirituality more, perhaps go on retreats. You may also decide that it's time to invest in some subconscious reprogramming techniques, so you know, getting some audio kind of tracks that help you to reprogram subconsciously. So, but the two things are very much tied together. So whatever you're releasing on the 10th of January with the lunar eclipse will give you a clue to what you're bringing in with the solar eclipse in Capricorn on the 26th of December. It's worth remembering too that Jupiter in Capricorn also played a crucial role in the solar eclipse energy, which is now kind of coming in, and which you'll probably feel more after mid-January, once we start to phase out the last 6-month cycle. So Jupiter in Capricorn for Aquarians is giving you the opportunity to really think about where you can expand your social circle. You know, maybe it's time to meet new people, maybe you've moved, or you've been quite reclusive recently, or you've just really made some changes to your lifestyle, and that's meant, you know, not socializing or seeing people maybe as much. So it's possible now that you're going to make or extend your group memberships, spend more time on social media, or change the way that you function on social media, or just extend your circle of friends. So Jupiter is really a favorable, lucky energy in this respect. So if you choose to make some changes in this respect, and you may find that this helps you with your goals in terms of changing subconscious dynamics, then really you'll have the help of Jupiter to kind of help you make some positive changes in this area. People might also just come into your life without very much effort, and it's worth paying attention to those people because they may have some messages for you, or some lessons that you can learn between now and June of next year. Then on the 12th of January we have a Saturn-Pluto conjunction happening in the sign of Capricorn, and this is asking Aquarians to cut back or change the way that you, or perhaps some career goals. You know, maybe it's time to make some adjustments when it comes to your goals, your future goals, because it's possible that now that you've realized that your current career path is sort of leading to a very stressful everyday work routine that, you know, is not really giving you the lifestyle that you want, or is just means that your work-life balance is off kilter, that you're never at home, that you don't have time to socialize, or it might just be that you're just not feeling it anymore, and it's time to kind of change things up when it comes to that. It also could be that you're realizing now that you have been your own worst enemy when it comes to achieving your goals career-wise, and that it's really time to let go of self-sabotaging habits that are stopping you from being successful in the fullest sense. So Saturn and Pluto here are urging you to take responsibility for that process and to really put in the work, and the more work that you put in, the more you'll get out of things ultimately, although it might seem quite painful or kind of slow moving at the time. This is earth energy, let's not forget, and it's also about being willing to do the work, to come into your power, to kind of be the mentor or the authority figure that perhaps you've always looked for in the outside world. You know, if you didn't have a strong father figure, for example, because this is Saturn Pluto, is very much to do with male authority figures, then this is something that you may feel that you kind of have to come to terms with, or become for yourself that person that you were hoping to meet in the outside world. So these are just some of the themes that are likely to constellate over the next 6 months during the next solar lunar cycle. So guys, that's really it. I hope you've enjoyed these horoscopes, that they've been helpful to you and given you some pointers on the major trends that are going to be happening for you between now and June of 2020. If you haven't already, you may want to go to my website and find out more about eclipses. I do have a library of eclipses going back about 15 years, so if you're interested in looking at previous eclipses, then please sign up for my membership. It's free. It gives you access to my eclipse library. It gives you my it also means that you get my bi-monthly newsletters, which I send out to everyone on my mailing list, and it also means that you get exclusive and early access to any upcoming forecasts that I do that are not in the public domain. So with that, I wish you all the best for 2020. I hope the eclipses bring you everything that you hope for. Good luck with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and hope to see you again really soon.